E.N.D here. In Final Fantasy, summons are powerful mythical beings that appear throughout the whole series. From Shiva icy elegance to Behemoth's overwhelming force, these entities are more than just battle allies. They are iconic figures that shape the lore, magic and drama of the series. Thanks to the crossover with Final Fantasy, these legendary summons now arrive on our battlefield as Saga creatures. Saga creatures follow all the same rules that other enchantment saga do. Each saga enters the battlefield with a lore counter on it. This causes the first chapter ability to trigger. As the first main phase begins during each of your turns, you add a lore counter to each saga you control, including the saga creatures. Anytime you add a lore counter to a saga, check the number of lore counters it now has. The chapter ability matching the new number will trigger. After the last chapter ability finishes resolving or otherwise leaves the stack, you sacrifice the saga. In addition to being enchantments, summon saga are also creatures and they can do everything a creature can do. They can attack, though not the turn they come under your control unless they have haste, and they can block. If a saga creature has any static abilities or flavor text beyond its chapter abilities, you find those in a separate section of its text box beneath the type line. But how to play Summon Saga? Let's build our battlefield and let's cast Summon Ixion. Summon Ixion, 2 and 1 white. It's a 3/3. Chapter 1, exile target creature and opponent controls until this saga leaves the battlefield. Chapter 2, Chapter 3, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 creatures you control, you gain 2 life. Any summon saga, it's a normal enchantment creature, therefore when casted it will go on the stack. There can be a counter, there can be a response, nothing happens and my Summon Ixion will hit the battlefield. When Summon Ixion hits the battlefield, you put the first lore counter. Exile target creature and opponent controls until this saga leaves the battlefield. Let's take Shiko. Don't forget that Ixion is both an enchantment and a creature, a 3/3 to be exact, so it's affected by summoning sickness unless you give it haste. On your next turn, you'll add another lore counter. Triggering Chapter 2. You will put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 creatures you control and you also gain 2 life. 2 creatures, +1/+1. At this point, yes, you can finally attack with Ixion if you choose. On the following turn, you add the third lore counter, triggering Chapter 3. Again, you place a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 creatures you control and you gain 2 life. Let's choose the same 2 creatures. Now, because Chapter 3 is the final chapter of the saga, you then sacrifice Ixion, freeing Shiko. Some notes. Saga creatures follow all the same rules that other saga do. Each saga has a number of chapter abilities. Each saga enters with a lore counters on it. This causes the first chapter ability to trigger. Anytime you add a lore counter, check the number of lore counters it has. The chapter ability matching the new number will trigger. After the last chapter ability finishes resolving, you sacrifice the saga. In some unusual cases, you may put more than 1 lore counter on a saga at a time. This can happen if you control a permanent like Doubling Season that doubles the number of counters a permanent enters the battlefield with. If this happens, not only does the chapter ability you landed on trigger, but any ones you passed along the way. Very important, don't forget that a Summon Saga is also a creature with power and toughness and can do everything a creature can do. It can attack, block, can be enchanted, equipped, destroyed and exiled. So that's how you play Summon Saga, a very interesting enchantment saga creature that can turn the game in your favor. Leave me a comment below, what do you think about these new enchantment saga creatures? And as always, subscription button is here, subscribe for my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world. Liliana.